What's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Bike, and in this video I'm going to show you how to safely load your motorcycle into the bed of your pickup truck. And I'm also going to be showing you how pickup truck manufacturers are making it way easier to do this. This right here is a GMC Sierra AT4, and it's got some tricks up its sleeve, especially because it's got the Carbon Pro bed. So I'm going to show you all about that, why it's so easy to load a bike into this truck. And let me just start off by saying there's a million different ways to load a bike and to tie down a bike, and it might vary depending on what kind of bike you have. So, take all this information with a grain of salt, and just know that you should be thinking through the process completely with your bike. But I've transported plenty of bikes this way and I've never had an issue. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So here's the first trick with the Sierra. It has GMC's Multi-Pro tailgate, which has a lot of different features. So you actually have two different buttons on the back here. You can drop the tailgate like you normally would on just about any other truck, but there's a few more tricks. You've got this top section which can fold down. And by the way, this is now available for 2021 on Silverados as well as the Sierras. But you can put this little wall up to keep some items in the bed. You can use it as a work surface. And then if you drop the main part of the tailgate and then hit that button again, this little cutout comes so you can easily load boxes and stuff. But then you can drop this and you get a step, which is going to help us out a lot for loading motorcycles. And also, pretty cool, we've got a kicker sound system down here. So I go to the track a lot with my motorcycle, do some asphalt riding over on our local track at IMI, and I bring a little Bluetooth speaker. That would be perfect though. I wouldn't have to charge anything up, and it's built right into my truck, so that's a pretty cool feature. So to get the bike up in the bed, I'm obviously gonna need a ramp, maybe a couple, so let's go grab those from the garage.
Ooh, that looks so strong.
So strong. So Case and I had this great idea to make this really cinematic montage of me getting these ramps from the garage, but Nathan and Andre are in the middle of recording a podcast, so I had to kind of grab them and tiptoe out of there. But hey, if you're interested in hearing a great podcast about cars and trucks, check out the TFL Talk channel. All right, so here's the ramps that we have at the office to load all kinds of stuff, motorcycles, ATVs, you name it. These are made by Titan. They're Titan ramps, they're 10 foot long. They have a 600-pound capacity each, and I highly recommend these ramps. These are the companies, TFL owns these, but I personally own the same exact set of ramps. I have two of them. So yeah, I did a lot of research on these, and let's just say I did the research for you. There we go. And now, as you can see, this is much less of a steep angle to bring the bike up, and it should be way less scary doing it this way. So always a good idea to find some high ground in the back of your truck, park on a hill, do whatever you have to do to make this angle less intimidating. It's always a good idea to strap the ramp down too, because I actually have had ramps kick out on me. So you want to make sure they're cinched up nice and tight to the truck so they can't go anywhere. I've got this strap. I'm going to go one side down to where you'd hook your safety chains by the receiver, and then bring the other end out. It's got this loop on it. So I'll just throw the loop over one of these bars in the ramp, hook it to itself, and then cinch down on that. That seems pretty solid to me, so I'm ready to pull a bike up on here. All right, so if you're transporting a bike that maybe needs a lot of work, you're gonna have to push really hard or get some friends. But if you're riding a bike that runs, or in this case with the Mighty Hawk barely runs, you can use the power to get it up. So barely runs is right. There we go. So wow, it's a lot of smoke. First gear, and very slowly. I'm not gonna use any throttle really. I'm just gonna cover the front brake in case I need it. In case I get in trouble, I'll pull that front brake to keep everything where it is, and I'm just gonna slowly let out the clutch till it starts creeping, and really slow, just walk her on up. There's really two different kinds of straps you can get. First kind is this buckle style, where it just kind of pushes, and they have these ridges right here that kind of cinch down on the strap and make it so it can't really go anywhere. These are good. I've used them before, but they're not my favorite. I keep them around mostly for strapping the ramps to the truck. What I like better are the ratcheting kind. I just feel like I can get the ratcheting straps much tighter than I can the buckle kind. These are made by Rhino USA. I always like using something that's pretty beefy and thick and overrated for what I'm using it for. And these are particularly nice because they have clip ends. So when you hook this to your truck bed, basically you are going to ensure that when the suspension unloads, the strap's not going to be able to come unhooked. And trust me, the suspension will unload. We have a nice little crack up in the right side fairing of the Hawk, and unfortunately it's not very easy to replace that piece, and the only reason that happened is because we weren't transporting it with the right straps at the time. We were kind of in a rush, did something we shouldn't have done. So big recommendation, if you're transporting a motorcycle, always use clip ends or carabiner style ends on your straps. Now I'm also going to be using these. These are soft shackles. They came with the ratchet straps as a set. These are what I'm going to use to hook under the front triple. That way I don't scratch up any of the fairings or anything. These are always good to have around, and they're pretty cheap. The other thing I wanted to mention is this. This is a setup for bar ends if you're riding a bike that has clip-ons, particularly sport bikes and crotch rockets, if that's what you want to call them. This will slip over the handlebars. You cinch these ends, and then you feed your straps through the ends here. It's pretty hard to get a good place to strap a motorcycle down on a fully faired bike. So if you're running a bike with fairings, like a full-on race street bike, definitely recommend picking up a set of these.
How's it going, everyone? This is Case from TFL Bike with our Ride Smarter Tip of the Month, brought to you by Rider Justice. We all know riding two-up is one of the great aspects of riding a motorcycle. But did you know that your insurance may not cover your passenger, or that insurance coverage can differ if your passenger is married to you or not? Or that your passenger may not be covered if you caused the accident? Neither did I. That's why you want to make sure you carry a healthy amount of uninsured/underinsured coverage, as well as liability insurance. Shoot for at least $250,000 of uninsured coverage and more if you can afford it. On most premiums, that works out to a couple extra bucks a year, and it's worth it to protect you and the ones you love. To learn more about how to ride smarter with common sense tips anyone can follow, go to riderjustice.com, the champions of biker rights, on the road, in the courtroom, and now across the country.
All right, so my favorite way to do this is to take your buckle end and just leave it on the ground there. And I actually take the other end and also hook it to the truck. And because I'm using these soft shackles, I'm just gonna find the end of the strap, make sure I keep it nice and flat and not twisted up. I can just go through the shackle there and then back down to the ratchet strap. All right, so you want to make sure that you lock your ratchet strap down into place when you're done so that it can't come undone or anything. So there we go. And then you're probably gonna have some slack left over on your straps, and you want to tie that off, because if you don't, it's gonna flap everywhere, make a lot of noise, and potentially damage your motorcycle. So just tie a little knot, and we're good to go. All right, now the bike's in there pretty solid, and when you're strapping down the front, you want to kind of alternate between the left and right straps, so you're putting an even amount of pressure on your front forks. And you also don't want to crank them down too hard. You want the suspension to start to load, but once it starts to load and the straps get tight, that's kind of where you want to stop. If you go too much, you can do a lot of damage to your front forks. Now that it's in here nice and tight with just two straps, I'm able to give the rear a shake. The rear's not sliding around, and it's actually shaking the entire truck, so I should be good to go. Now there's a lot of controversy over whether you should be strapping the rear with two additional straps. I personally don't, and I've never really had an issue with it. I think if you're using closed end straps and they're well secured, they're heavy duty straps, and you give it a couple good shakes, you should be good to go without strapping that rear. Now, I said I was going to talk about how truck manufacturers are making it easier to load bikes, and this bed itself is a good example of that. This is GMC's new optional Carbon Pro bed. It's a little over $1,000, which may seem steep at first until you remember that a spray and bed liner from Line-X can cost anywhere from $500 to $800. So if this turns out to be super durable, I don't think it's a bad option to go with. But there's a couple of other things that I really like when it comes to this bed. First of all, the amount of tie downs. You have 14 tie down points in this truck bed, which is just incredible. What that means is you have 3 down here that you can go to, so you're not putting both straps to one hook. They each get their own. I don't have that in my own truck. I'd love to have that. The other thing is up front you get these 3 notches where you can put a bike. Now, they don't actually really do anything to secure the bike. It's more of hey, here's where you're supposed to put your bikes. And also these 2 additional tie down points that you only get with the Carbon Pro bed right here on the sides of the bike. That is really cool. It's a real pain to strap down 2 motorcycles at one time. I've done it going to the track, and it's not fun if you don't have tie downs up front. All right, there you go, guys. There's how I at least load motorcycles into the bed of a pickup truck, and how some of the truck manufacturers are making it pretty easy to do this. I think General Motors is actually kind of leading the way in that area, and I'd like to see some of the other manufacturers step it up and keep motorcyclists in the back of their mind. Now, keep this in mind. Like I said, this is just how I do it. There's plenty of ways to do it. There's plenty of different straps and techniques and ramps you can use. So just make sure you're being safe with whatever you're doing. And also, it's always a good idea, a couple miles down the road, hop out of the truck, pull over somewhere safe, and just make sure nothing's come loose, and tighten back down if you need to tighten down. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and head over to tflbike.com for all the latest and greatest in independent and honest motorcycle reviews.